Hey, welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 188. I'm Grant. I'm here with Luke, Richie, and Cody, and we have two people. I know there's a bunch of you who we met you guys last year at AOP. Barefoot Motorsports, I believe that's what you guys are, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I know we have Veronica here because your name is right there. I forget who else we have. I don't think his name has been mentioned.
Yeah, I'm Eric. I'm her better half or not so better half.
So we have Eric and Veronica.
But basically, I'm the money man to make this all happen.
He's the sugar daddy.
There we go.
Yelled at, all the above.
Yep. And
sorry,
Luke, go ahead.
Thank you for the wrench, Eric. You saved my weekend, that Thanksgiving weekend at AOP.
Not a problem. Always happy to help.
Yeah, that wrench rode around with me for like 2 days and before I ended up giving it back, so I apologize for that.
What did you need the wrench for?
Bending my rims back to being straight.
Oh, that's not the tool for the job. A hammer is what you use.
Like a hammer
So-
for that?
You're saying two names for the same thing.
I mean, yes, but Graham, it was easier to grab the lip of the bead with the wrench and just roll the bead back into position.
Yeah,
than it was to try and hammer the thing in, because every time it knocked the tire off, we had to light it on fire to get it to reseat.
Yeah,
so that was fun.
I do recall that.
There's a couple videos of me losing facial hair there. So I gotta ask, we've seen the rigs, we've got to get into those at some point, but how did you guys get to the level of wheeling that you guys are at? Because
Oh, that's a good question. Honestly,
You met me.
well, yeah. When I first met Eric, he had a really cool right-hand drive buggy, and he let me drive it one time, and he created a monster after that. I want to say a couple weeks after, he got me my very own Cherokee, right? Was it a two-door?
Yeah. This all started me with got me into it. It was all lies is what got me into this sport. Is what it was. I drag raced forever, and I had a buddy that was he had a YJ, like typical 90s build, spring over front, spring under rear, typical YJ. And he's like, "Hey man, you want to go wheeling?" And I'm like, I grew up in country, I was like, I'm good. He's like, "Come on, we'll go." We loaded this thing up. We drove like 2.5 hours to this little park in Milledgeville called River Rock. And we wheeled for 2 days, and I couldn't get enough of it. I actually tried to buy the biggest piece of crap Toyota that weekend. It was called the Cajun Crawler, and it was a pile. And we wheeled all weekend, drove home, and he's like, "Hey, man, this sport's way cheaper than drag racing. You should sell your drag car." I'm like, "All right, that makes sense." Well, he lied to me.
Fucking lied to you.
And it's been downhill ever since. So that was like 06 probably when I first got into it, and then it's just been a spiral. I've tried to get out, and I just I can't. I met my wife, she loves it, and then our daughter wheels, and then we've got our crazy child that's competing at the age of 5, and it's just now we're hooked. And with it being family, I'm all about wasting the money on it. As long as everybody's happy and we're doing it as a family, it's worth it.
And I don't know if you guys know Chris Krimmer. He started competing in We Rock 5 years ago, and he was like, "Hey, you guys want to come up?" And we were like, "Yeah, sure, we'll try it." And
I competed the year before him.
Yeah.
18 was my first year competing.
And so Eric started, I started, and then it was game on.
Chris is part of the whole Kremer clan, right? Like Jason and them.
Jason
Kremer, Gage Kremer.
So Gage, it would be is Gage.
No, I think that's another person.
Oh.
They just have the same name. I've seen Gage on Facebook. I'm not sure who that is though.
Yeah. Chris hangs out with like Book, old Hollywood. He's high class compared to us. He's got a portal car. He's a great dude though. He's one of the reasons why we have the cars we have. Because I definitely couldn't do all this by myself. I mean, it's it's a full time. I work like 2 jobs, and then I come home and work another job, and it's full time, especially keeping 4 cars going. Especially during comp season, it's it's all the time. Every spare minute I have, we're working. So it's kind of exhausting. I really enjoy when comp season's over because we could just go back to trail riding, which I really enjoy, and it's just less high pace, and you can drink beer and hang out with buddies. And
well, we still drink beer.
It's just chill. Now I do love the comp scene. If anybody's ever seen being me on course, I mean, we've in Texas. I thought she was going to come out of the car at me as I'm yelling at her. She's yelling back at me, and the buggy's on its side. It turned off, and she said it won't start. I said, "You start that piece of crap." I said, "Hold it on the limiter and drop it in drive." She said, "I ain't doing it." I said, "You're going to do it." And how the car didn't explode into pieces, but it launched off this ledge and landed on all fours as I'm still yelling at her, and she tried to run me over. And it's a lot of fun. It keeps things spicy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's incredible. We love hearing that. So then kind of go through the process of how did you get her into wheeling? Or was it like, did you guys meet while wheeling or no?
So Eric works, he runs a shop at Gainesville Motorsports. I must say I was like 21. We actually met at his work and really just started. You got me a Cherokee.
I gave her the, "Hey, you want to hang out with a nice guy?" Trick, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll come hang out." And next thing you know, we're dating. But yeah, we went. I built a Samurai. First real rig that I built that was capable was a 1-ton Samurai with rear steer. It had a 3800 supercharged engine. It was a good car. So I took her, and the first time out, it was like she was hooked. So we dated a little while longer, and the first rig we got was the biggest piece of crap Cherokee ever.
It was
what?
Well, that's every Cherokee ever.
It was a typical southeastern clapped out Cherokee on tons and boggers and junk. But you probably wheeled that for a year.
It had the perfect name, White Trash. Do you remember that?
It was called White Trash. It was a pile of crap. And then I built her a really nice 2-door Cherokee. Did like an 8.8 Dana 44 front, Dana 300, and that's what she wheeled for the longest time until I built her.
No, we bought Chris Krimmer's. We bought Muffy.
No, I built you the LSTJ on tons.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, see, I built you so many cars you don't even remember what did you wheel. But then I built her typical TJ build LS tons stickies, and I like hot rods, so when I was building the car, I had the mentality of building something very nice. So we put a nice paint job. I mean, it was beautiful. And she wheeled it probably a year and a half.
And a body with this girl, no.
Smashed the windshield frame, and I said, "It's got to go." And then we got the buggy that she just got rid of. So she's been through about 6.
Wait, you got rid of the pink buggy?
Yeah.
So Muffy, after I cut the back up, I traded it, or not traded, well, kind of, yeah, even swap. I now have a, Miller Motorsports?
She's got a Miller Motorsports car now.
Rear steer Spider Tracks.
All right. We'll give you a pass on that one because that pink TJ was rad.
Yeah, dollar for dollar. I mean, this basically looks like a miniature version of Muffy, the one that she had.
I mean, it's pink now too. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I just had it wrapped.
A lot of people that see it think it's the same car because it looks so similar. But Muffy was a great car. The car that V wheeled forever, she called Muffy. That was like the best trail rig ever built. I mean, she would just beat the crap out of that thing. And if anybody knows my wife, she may like to drink a little bit too much sometimes. And that car would just... It would take a beating no matter what you did to it. I mean, in all the years we owned that car, you broke... Oh, you didn't even break it. I broke a rear axle shaft.
Mm-hmm.
You never broke it.
Nope.
Yeah, it was a good car. But now she's got a better car, so we hope.
So let's touch on what made that car so special. Was it like the suspension, the motor, or just the whole package together?
So Muffy, I call it Muffy. I actually bought that from Chris Krimmer. He was getting rid of it. It was just super sentimental from there because Chris is one of our really, really close friends. Great guys, always there if we need him. So it's the first like legit buggy, full tube chassis. Well, it had a little bit of TJ frame on it, 3-foot TJ frame.
Yeah.
Bought it.
Does that even count at this point? Like,
Right.
that's
right. 3 feet.
Yeah, it still had some G frame, but you saw that Jeep when it was still full body. Like
right.
when Chris got it, it was a 32,000 mile 97 TJ.
But I fell in love with it. It was the first rig I really learned how to do front digs in, rear digs. It's really the first car I competed in and actually podiumed.
Neutral drops.
Oh, and neutral drops. So it was very sentimental. You know, we cut it up exactly how I wanted it. And it was just, so doing the trade was tough. I actually did cry.
A lot.
But after driving my new car and podium taken first a couple weekends ago, I'm good now. I'm happy.
That's awesome. So with the new car, you said it's a Miller Motorsports chassis. Are they like actually producing chassis, or is it a one-off?
No, it's a one-off. It's actually VIN numbered and stamped 001. So he was building it. The car was built in like 2000. I think it says 2002. It's old, but he built it to be a pro mod car.
Wait a minute.
I don't think Eric ever competed in it.
It's not the, is it the same body style as the one that he was running around with in like 2014 where it's got the really narrow 3-slot grill?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's such a fucking cool car.
It was white and David Book owned it. No, his friend Brian, but David Book competed in it.
Yeah, the car's been around, and I mean it needs some work, but it's a good car for what we're doing more now, competing. It's a way better car than Muffy because it's narrower and it's shorter, but it'd still be a good trail car. But I mean, it's got top of the line parts, which Muffy had very expensive parts also. But
I just need to get used to the rear steer.
Yeah, after all these years, what I've just learned is you just spend the money on good parts in the beginning, and you save so much in the long run.
So you're saying that it's cheaper to build a buggy than keep a clapped out Jeep running?
I mean, possibly. Hey, I have a clapped out Toyota back that never dies. So, but my buddies make fun of me because they always tell me I'm the least maintenance oriented, and my stuff is always held together with zip ties. But yet it always works, so I just roll with it.
But you know what? The most fun I think we have ever had together is in a Cherokee. I mean, you take it out and you beat the shit out of it, and you have a great
we took
time.
your white one out, and I was working the shifter, and you were driving, and we rolled over because I couldn't hit reverse fast enough.
Because I need the other hand to drink beer.
Was it manual or?
Nope, it was automatic.
Yep.
I told her, I said, you drive, I'll work the shifter. So we also, at AOP one time in her TJ, we went for New Year's, and to go over the bridge was flooded going into AOP, and we waited for probably 3 hours for the river to recede. We had our camper, and the water was coming in the under bin compartment. So we get up on top of the mountain, and she was feeding me. I don't know what it was.
It was Crown, because I knew I had to get you super drunk for me to raise hell.
That's probably the most fun I've ever had. That night too, she was limiter and I was shifting. So how that Jeep came back off the mountain in one piece, I have no idea, because it hit the LS on the limiter, neutral drops as hard as that thing would go, and we had a ball. So, that's how you get to know your spotter. You let them work the shifter, you work the steering wheel and the gas. It's fun.
Right.
Yeah, that's a straight up lie. I let Graham shift my manual at S'more. He was playing the automatic, and I still don't trust him to spot worth a fuck.
Sometimes you just need more speed.
Yeah.
That's your only answer, is you're not hitting it hard enough. And it's like, dude, I'm dropping the clutch in third. What more do you want from me?
I just thought it was It was fun slam shifting it while you were just driving down the trail too and making you go faster. Because it's geared so low, it just notches in. It's not moving that fast.
Yeah, that's like Muffy. I always used to yell at V to put it in second and load it on the converter and just send it. Like that car loves second gear converter launches.
But you know what? People that talk about a 4.0 can kiss it because my 4.0 was amazing.
No, fuck 4.0s. They are the worst motor known to man. I'm on number 5.
You are biased, Luke.
It sounds like it's your driving skills then.
It's not even the driver. It just sucks.
Yeah, I am bad. I'm not going to deny that I'm bad, but my luck with 4.0s has been absolutely terrible. By the way, Richie, would you please load that 4.0 in your truck bed for the Web Wheelers ball? I need a spare at this point.
God.
Well, it's my motor. I paid for it. I pulled it. I'd like to get it at some point just to throw in the corner. Because this 4.0's like got head gasket in a can, 5 psi of oil pressure, and no hope of living past the Web Wheelers ball.
Oh, well
So,
then.
yeah, it's fine. It ran at 260 the last weekend. I was wheeling it for like an hour because it was out of coolant. So
That's a 4.0 though. They're fine. V would always be like, I think it's hot. I'm like, well, what's the temp? 220? Nah, you still got another 40, 50 degrees before it's hot.
mine was, so the battery cracked, right? And you couldn't get it to start if you shut it off. So I just had to let it sit there overheating because I was not going to deal with a dead Cherokee in a riverbed. It's easier to swap a 4.0 than it was to pull that Cherokee out of the riverbed.
No, it was water cooled. You're good.
Yeah. The gauge said 260, but the block was probably like 150, 190, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
all wrong. It's lying. It's a dummy gauge anyways. It'll jump to 260 if you're at 225.
Yeah, my buggy doesn't even have a gauge in it. I figure if it's not ticking, it's got oil pressure, and when it starts spewing, it's overheating. So I don't even have a gauge in it.
I don't even think I would.
Sometimes it is better to just not know.
Not one time we were competing.
No.
I forgot I even had gauges
Because
in
I
it.
asked you if you knew what temperature was, and you're like, no. And I was like,
I
oh,
didn't even the whole time.
it's still running.
Look, when you start smoking and making noises, that's when we really got to worry.
Yeah, I mean, if it runs and you don't have a gauge, then there's no problem.
Right.
That's my motto.
It's just one less thing to stress about.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Eric,
Yes.
let's talk about your rig, because I've got to know 2 things. 1, where you lost the shoes in it, and 2, what the fuck is it? Because it looks like one of the weirdest things I've ever seen coming up the trail at me.
It's definitely strange. So that car got rebuilt. So originally it looked similar. We called it the bathtub. So my good buddy Lee in Mississippi built that car. So it's a transaxle car. So it's a old like 91 Honda Civic engine, Toyota axles, and he just built it. I think Elon Musk owes me money because it looks like a Cybertruck, and it was built before the Cybertrucks were built. So I don't know why he built it that way, but it's a cool car because you sit so far up in it, you never feel bad. You never feel like it's going to roll over because you're so far up. So it's just it's a weird. It's like you said, it's a very different, weird looking car, but it's a great trail car. I mean, it's trailing armed in the rear. I just put some triple bypass air shocks on it. It rides really, really good, which I'm used to driving stuff with 2 inches up travel, and then I go into something that's got 24 inches of rear suspension travel. It's amazing.
It is very ugly though, babe.
It's
I have
not
to agree
ugly.
with him.
I think it's beautiful.
I didn't say it was ugly. I just said I have no fucking clue what it is.
Oh,
Because
nobody does, and everybody asks me, they're like, "What made you build it this way?" I was like, "I didn't. My buddy did." So I don't know. I honestly don't know why he built it in the manner he did. I just know that I got a great deal on it, and the car works. So I just keep wheeling it, and I'm pretty hard on the old girl. I actually went up Little Caesars in it the other weekend at AOP, and I was highly amazed that it went up it on a 37. But it's just a good car, man. You can beat on that car and beat on it, and it just doesn't break. It's underpowered, over-axled, so it's just a really real car.
That is a winning combo, though, because when you overpower an under axle, all you do is fix the fucking thing.
Yeah.
My shitbox, like, I think I've got 125 horsepower out of that 4.0, but it doesn't break anything, axle-wise, other than lockouts, and, like, those are cheap as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like this car. It's just, I mean, at Texas, we went to the Top Gun shootout last year. It was the first time I drove the car. I rolled it because I was in the unlimited class off like the biggest drop off I've ever dropped. And then I ran the drag axle class. And I mean, I flat footed that car. My buddy said, look, if the front tires go up it, the back will go. He said, you hold that thing to the floor and you don't lift. And that's what I do. And it just holds together.
You guys will have to get on our YouTube channel and take a look at that video.
I beat the snot out of that car. Took second out of 15.
We saw you driving it at AOP.
Yeah. Hey, if we all hang out again, feel free. Anybody jump in it. It's one switch, flip it up, hit the button, and go. It's fun. It's a fun.
We definitely have to hang out again because I want to see Veronica actually drunk. I was sitting there like I was half drunk, and the Jazz Cabbage was playing some musical notes, if you will, and my girl's sitting there and she's like, you're not going and getting more fucked up. And I'm like, but the party's over there. No, you're not doing that. I don't want to deal with you puking. You're going to go and fall asleep on the couch, or not the couch, the air mattress we had in that little cabin. And like, that's where I ended up over there. And that's why we didn't come over, or I didn't come over and party. I don't have any excuses for the rest of the lot, but
Now, was this at AOP, you said?
this was Thanksgiving weekend at AOP.
Now, I will say my wife is no stranger to she likes to have a good time. Sometimes a little too much and it annoys me, but she's down to have a good time. So most of the people we will with, like, she keeps talking about Chris, our buddy, like that dude will drink 35 high noons and he's down to party. So it's usually a good time. I mean, I've definitely tamed myself a little bit or calmed down a little bit with my old age, but that's what going wheeling, especially like AOP or somewhere at a big event, you go to have fun and let loose, and God knows all of us need once in a while.
I don't think I knew him when
Sorry.
I walked.
Has that ever stopped you before?
No.
Yeah.
That weekend was weird, though. We've never seen AOP like that, where it was us, you guys, and then the side-by-side crowd at the opposite end of the park. That was just...
Yeah, it was weird. I went up there a couple weeks ago, and there was 6 of us in our group. There was probably 3 Razors and, like, some stocker Cherokees. I bet there wasn't 12 rigs in the whole park. It was crazy, and it was, like, bone dry. Probably the driest I've seen AOP in years. There was just nobody there. It was wild. We had the whole park to ourselves.
I can't decide if I like AOP better in the pouring rain or bone dry.
Yeah, and that's a good question because we've wheeled AOP. God, how many times, babe?
A lot.
More times to count in the rain.
Mhm.
And we always have a good time. I mean, I curse it. And I'm like, I'm not going to ride in the rain, but we show up there and it's always good, especially if you get towards the top. You can just ride and ride and ride. And we always have a good time.
I like going there in the rain and hitting the what is it? It's the right side of the park, not the left side when it's raining, because you just have traction. It washes all the rocks clean. Yep. And then the second that it stops raining, fuck your traction and fuck your life. Get that winch out, bitch.
Well, I think you really just need liquid courage at that point when it's raining.
Yeah, raining.
I don't need liquid courage to drop that thing in third and pop the clutch pedal like an on-off switch. That's the default setting. Liquid courage actually makes me slow down.
Oh, Lord.
I start trying to crawl stuff and remember that I have a first gear. It's fucked up. It's weird. Jazz Cabbage, generally we end up in second gear and we're just going for the ride wherever it goes. And that's how it is. Sorry. So let's see. I've got so many questions, but I think the most pressing one is, where did your shoes go, Eric?
Sport shoes and oh god, since I was a kid. Like I grew up not wearing shoes. So I've just never worn shoes. And I usually if you see me, I don't have shoes with me.
Yes.
How many
That was the most striking thing.
No, they kick you out. They ask you where your shoes are, and you're like, Jesus didn't wear them.
So, yeah, sometimes I have to pull out Jesus didn't wear shoes, why should I? And usually that works. But I've only ever been asked to leave one place, and that was a liquor store at the beach. And they said it was for insurance reasons. But I don't like shoes, and my son's the same way. Like that little dude, he never has shoes on. We compete, he doesn't have shoes on. I don't know. I don't like having shoes, and I got big feet, so it's hard to find shoes. So it's just
15 and all, babe.
easier
15?
to get. Yeah.
All right, I
Wow.
respect it because I'm a 13 and it's tough for me to find shoes. I was gonna give you shit and be like, all right, yeah, it can't be that bad. Nah, 15's got to be tough, man. That's got to be rough.
Yeah,
Genuinely.
I'm sitting in size 13 camp as well, and I respect that.
Yeah.
So
Holy fuck.
usually it's
So
tacos or no shoes, one of the two.
So I'm weird. I wheel in work boots. I refuse to wheel in anything besides work boots.
Oh,
And
Yeah, I'm in your boat too though because
well,
I
you're
mean,
short as fuck.
I can no, that doesn't have anything to do with it. The pedal is I'm not that short. And the if I wear like just normal shoes, it just feels wrong. The pedals aren't quite where I want them to be, and I can do it, but just not gonna be my A game. I don't think. Plus, if it's fucking muddy and shit, I don't want to have to worry about if my feet are gonna get wet. Whereas,
So part of my reason is stupid, but I have two short tendons, so I walk on my tiptoes, and if I'm laced into work boots, I'm less likely to hurt my ankle because they won't bend the way that like
such a ballerina walking around, yeah, you'd be fine.
It's a medical reason, okay?
I know, I'm teasing.
Dude, I don't want to deal with not being
stretches.
able to walk for a year because they have to cut the tendon and like extend it and shit. And so I would be unable to walk for 6 months and on crutches for 6 months. And I'm like,
Jesus.
that does not sound like fun.
Yeah,
I'll
that
wear
sounds
work.
horrible.
Yeah, I will wear work boots instead.
I just
So-
live in work boots, so
Yeah, well, you're also fucking retarded. Said with a lot of love and knowing you
I mean-
since you were fucking 12.
I mean, I'm not arguing that.
I still think Graham has the superior piece of feet wear out there for sure. That was
The
donated
fish
to
flops?
him. The fish
oh,
flops.
the fish flops, yeah,
Top tier for sure.
best driving shoes.
Nice.
You can hold the tail with your heel so it doesn't flop around and man.
Eric bought five finger toes?
Yeah, because technically in We Rock you have to wear shoes.
Mhm.
So toe shoes. So I like to drive like I use my big toe on the gas pedal. My son's the same way. If you watch him drive, he's only got his big toe on the gas pedal. So I can promise you two things when I go wheeling. I'm not going to have shoes, and my cell phone is not going to get answered till I get home. So like that's my two pet peeves when I go wheeling. No shoes, no cell phone.
Yeah, so
I
that whole
respect that.
weekend. Sorry, go ahead, Richie.
No, I respect that.
Okay. That whole weekend that we were wheeling AOP and you guys were there, we have in total 7 pictures because no one bothered to get their phone out. And I think one of them's a video of me lighting myself on fire. So,
Yeah, I just needed to document that. I think I got that.
My wife's always like, "Nobody, you never take any pictures of me." I was like, "I don't take pictures of anybody because I never have a phone."
Well,
Yeah.
it's
I'm always taking pictures.
You take great pictures.
I love taking pictures.
It's really, really fucked up too because like we do the Instagram thing and we should probably be good at like making Instagram content, but that is
Yeah.
not the case. We literally drag Cody along just to take pictures so we have content to post on Instagram.
That's crazy.
Well,
That's crazy.
That's like
That's
for,
fucking crazy.
for our
What?
team. I'm the only mom, the only late girl that goes and takes pictures and videos of y'all. You're welcome. Just
That's what I'm saying. I never hear them complain when I have 600 photos for them to scroll through when they're done with the weekend. Just
It was
saying.
literally complimenting you. I
All
don't know
right.
what you're
I thought
getting
you
on
were
about.
calling me out because I don't wheel.
No, I've got a passenger seat for you for Web Wheelers Ball if you end up not bringing your rig, and we're gonna go and have a party.
Hell yeah. Sounds like fun. I'm still planning for my Jeep to be there, but you know.
Hell yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
So, this is an invite, by the way. If you guys would like to come on up, we are having a trail ride on Labor Day weekend at Roush Creek. We'll be there from probably Thursday night all the way through to leaving Monday morning.
We'll be in New Mexico.
we'll be at nationals, but we will
Ooh.
be at Creek for our last East Coast event or August the 17th that weekend.
So while we're talking about Roush Creek, what's the traction like up there if you compared it to AOP?
Fucking nuts.
Okay.
Sandpaper,
that's pretty
like
crazy.
compared to AOP.
Every tire out there works well. If you're running a sticky compound, like Treps work, Reds work, Mickey's work, SX's work. The only thing that sucks about Roush is the rocks are sharp as fuck, so Reds will get cut if you're not careful. But that's just trail riding and bombing around. I'm sure that if you're talking about the comp course, that's just man-made concrete, and that shit, like, everything sticks to it. Even 35 General Grabbers, like the OG General Grabbers.
Okay. Yeah, because we've never been. It's on the bucket list. So I'm glad we're getting to go, but I would like to come back up and actually do some riding. I'd like to go there. Like I want to go to Wellsville. I got a handful of parks I want to go to that are north of us, but it just never seems like we get that far.
Mm-mm.
Like Good Evening Ranch is about as far north as we've been this year.
Yep.
My recommendation for Roush is add 5 psi, give or take 2 psi, to your normal tire pressure.
Why are you so worried about slicing tires? You got the king of tires right now.
Yeah, I mean they're great, but
You
like,
got them Mickey Thompson Kevlar tires or whatever they're called.
Oh, that's what I just got. I love them.
they're
went.
fucking awesome.
Hey, I ran BFGs for 20 years, and we just went to Sticky Mickey's. And I mounted the tires on the buggy with it on the trailer. We drove to Tennessee, unloaded it, ran 2 days on a brand new set of tires. And I was super impressed with how those tires work, especially for what they cost. They're a jam up tire.
Yep. We were talking
God damn
with
it, Graham.
What were you? Why?
Just throwing shit at you for your bald ass Reds.
Oh, I mean, I was just kind of laughing because you're worried about your brand new tires getting sliced up, and that was honestly the least of. That's Roush Creek to me doesn't scream sliced up tires. Yeah, it happens, but that happens anywhere. I'm not worried about that. I can buy another shitty red label for probably a handful of them for $500.
I'm just talking about, like, if you go into the quarry has a ton of jagged, broken off shale. So, like, just keep that in mind. I'm not particularly worried about dicing my tires up. I'm just making note of that because it's slightly different.
There's no tree pokies. I think the only time I'm ever really concerned about slicing a tire like that is when we were at Glass Mountain in New Hampshire, and it's all fresh cut, so you've got all those little tiny stumps. Those things will fuck you up. But
there was a lot of those.
Yeah, rocks though, I'm not as concerned. happens, but my rim's gonna slice a tire before a rock does. I would think. Those fuckers, they're like razor blades.
Yeah, well, those are also how old? And they're steel.
They're not
Well,
that old, but they are steel.
You guys need to hook up. We are sponsored by Raceline Wheels, and they are absolutely amazing.
Ooh.
Yeah, don't be afraid to give us a shout. We'll definitely help you guys out.
I'll keep
There
that
you
in
go,
mind.
Graham. I was gonna say, there you go,
I might need a
Graham.
new set of rims. I'm. They're still working for now, but I'm definitely at the point where
They're clapped as fuck, dude.
that's
How
why
long
I
would
like them.
nerf
I can just keep the hammer in the Jeep.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
they
yeah.
do something dumb, I have a compressor on it. They haven't completely fallen apart, but they're gonna. It's a matter of time before I bend one of the lips up too bad, like so bad I can't get a new rim on it or new rock ring like outer flange to even work. And the ones that are on there are pretty mangled as it is. So
Steel bead locks on Muffy forever.
Mm-hmm.
Sand Hollow. Look, we were at Sand Hollow, and how you hit the only tree in
I hit a rock on the sand.
Yeah,
they have
rock.
trees.
No, they do have trees, but I think it was a tree you hit.
No, it was a rock.
Anyways,
parked by the only tree in the
you're
desert.
talking like 30 square acres of nothing but sand and one rock, and my wife hits it doing probably 50 miles an hour. And Taco's an allied on the inside.
I'm on heels for like half a mile. I don't know how I managed this. And I'm like, why is water all over my face? I had cut I'd split a tire or no,
where you bent the rim. Every time the rim would come around, it would spray her with water.
I'm like, why?
Yeah. So
are you guys water filled?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We
is the juice worth the squeeze?
Depending on where you're wheeling, absolutely. It just depends. Like if we go to AOP and it's dry, I'm gonna run water to the top of the rim. If it's wet, I'll take all the water out. So when we come to Pennsylvania, I'll probably run the tire. If it's dry, I'll probably run the tire half full. I used to run lead in my comp cars, like lead shot. It's just expensive. So, water's cheap, so we run water now. But on her car, depending on, again, where we're at, I'll run water in the back tires also. So it just depends on where we go and what the terrain's like.
So how much benefit do you guys actually see from running the water in the tires?
A lot, like astronomical.
I mean, it makes sense. You're adding a metric fuck ton of weight to the front. I mean, it makes sense. Like,
yeah. So like on her car, I'm adding 400 to 500 pounds below the belly. So low center. So take AOP for example, like Little Caesars or Riot Hill, like those big ledges. It helps tremendously because once the fronts are up and over, now you got all that weight that's real low, and it'll make the rear climb. So that's why we do it. If we're doing something where she's got big drops, because the new car, what I've figured out so far is it's kind of ass light, I'll put some water in the back tires. Depending on once we get there, I'll check out. And usually I bring extra water, or we'll just pump it out of the camper. And I just kind of judge on what we need to do. My car, I don't really run any water in it. Emmett's car, the axles are too little; it would break them. But Muffy, we used to run Muffy pretty much half full all the time.
Yeah,
and just let it eat.
Have you?
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Have you ever forgotten to take the water out before winter?
That's a good question. Yes.
I can only imagine how fucked up that must have been.
So tell us that experience.
So I actually did forget, and they were bricks. Like you couldn't move them. So I got it in the shop and got the heat going. So I drained some out, and then I just went and bought some RV antifreeze, that pink stuff. Just added like 2 or 3 gallons per wheel, so it'll keep it from freezing. Then it was just kind of a slushy.
Mm-hmm.
But now,
That's amazing.
a friend of ours went and bought what did he buy? Like 500 gallons of beet juice.
Oh, Steve?
No, Monty.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
beet,
yeah.
like beet juice, like you would drink. It doesn't freeze, and he did the math. It's like X amount heavier than water, and so he actually runs beet juice in his front tire. Crazy.
That's crazy.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that kind
Especially
of
if
checks
you
out.
live in colder areas.
And if you ever got thirsty, you could just pull your valve core out and get.
I don't know if I'd be that thirsty.
I don't know that year at Roush Creek, I probably would have started drinking from a fucking tire if I
You
had the shot.
goddamn motherfucker.
I was
I
dying.
hope you realize that my
Oh.
entire plan is I'm going to put a case of water next to my battery in my shit box, and every time I see you, I'm just going to punt one through your window.
I'm gonna piss on your tire every time just because I'm gonna be so filled with fucking water.
I don't give a fuck if you're not
least it means you're
puking out the
hydrated.
door.
Oh, dude, I learned such a bad lesson, and we talk about it way too often, so we don't have to go into it. But man, I fucking learned. I learned quickly. Oh,
Dude,
good times.
I'm still healing from relearning that lesson.
Yeah.
He basically got drunk, or not drunk, I shouldn't say drunk. He forgot to drink water the entire
Completely.
weekend.
Yeah.
And like we were going down the green and he goes, "Dude, I don't feel good. I'm lightheaded and I gotta like get out." And so we stopped. He puked his brains out and then drank all of the water in the Jeep. And then I was working on my Dove nose trying to get my Cherokee over to Shop Kid from Runs Prime Racing's place. And I totally forgot about drinking water. So I leaned up against a freshly welded tube, and that shit blistered over in like 30 seconds. So that wasn't good.
That's rough.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
that myself over the weekend.
Drink water, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry.
I meant the freshly welded two part.
Oh,
How many
I
times?
am very good with my hydration.
Hydration's key. How many times have we been coming back and you've been in the back of the motorhome yelling at me that you're dying?
I
Just
mean,
down. More times than I can count.
girl, drink.
It's definitely something that's not always like forefront of your mind when you're wheeling, and sometimes it just.
We have one friend. He's actually part of our team, Barefoot Motorsports, Steve Marquardt. He's very big on drinking water, so he doesn't let me forget.
No. If you guys are willing with us and he's around, you're gonna stay hydrated.
You're not gonna.
Like he's kind of like the water boy. He's always got water. He's like, hey, you need some water. I'm like, no, I'm good, but thanks.
Does he have that super fresh, super rare, like mountain spring water from the hills of, I don't know, some backwards country?
Fiji.
huh? What? Is this a
Fucking
reference?
the water boy. He had this special fucking
he had-
water.
Yeah, it was from a glacier. Is where that was from. The glacier.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh shit.
Are you guys planning a trip back down our way anytime?
I
before
live by you guys, so
Yeah, because you're Tennessee, right? What part of Tennessee?
I'm in Cleveland. Like
Okay.
so I go Windrock and AOP are technically the same distance, but I will take the drive to AOP any day of the week over going to Windrock. I can't explain it, but Windrock is like half a tank of diesel, whereas AOP is like an eighth of a tank of diesel and easier driving.
Gotcha. Now, have you guys been to Good Evening Ranch up in West Virginia yet?
Yeah.
We've been kicked out of there.
How did you get kicked out of Good Evening Ranch?
I don't think we're gonna plead the fifth for the moment. We'll tell you later. How does that sound? There was some things, and we're not too big and friendly with them at the moment, so we're gonna just kind of. But yes, we've been to that park in West Virginia. It was a really fun time. We had a great turnout. We may or may not had a bunch of friends meet us there, and honestly, it was a sick property. But yeah, it was a good time.
Take
It
it.
is a
But I'm-
fun property. Very fun. I had been a couple times. Me and Luke both went a few times. 2 times, right?
Yeah.
I would
And then-
love to go back there and wheel, but I don't feel like dealing with a headache.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm gonna leave that.
The
Fair enough. Fair enough.
the park that we would have called our local park back in the day in South Carolina, I got kicked out of there 3 times
Mhm.
and was told never to come back. And then towards the end, before Skip sold the place, we would just show up without rigs and just drive his rig for the weekend.
That's because he loved got
yeah,
like
we
and stuff.
I did get a little domesticated.
we didn't really get that kind of kicked out. Like they technically said we could go back, but there was just so much drama that came from the scenario. It just doesn't feel worth it, especially for how far away it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, one of those things. But I mean, it was. I really liked the accommodation. I think that it was pretty sick on that part, where you could actually stay at a cabin, and you had your own shitter and shower if you wanted to, and you just parked your shit right in front of the buildings. I think that was a pretty unique portion about it. That was really cool. But
No, because that's on the grass. You park in the not grass.
oh my fucking!
Depending on the cabin. Because there
What are
are
they
like
do?
some that are.
All right.
They're like the
Anyways.
Vagos. You're not supposed to step on the grass.
Anyways, we end up spending more time like collectively between Roush or AOP. We were at the meet and beat in full force minus Cody, and we keep going back to Roush on Labor Day weekend. We just throw up that we're going to Roush. It's not like an official event or anything. It's more of a Facebook ordeal, but we call it the Web Wheelers Ball. Otherwise, I wheel mainly AOP at this point, if I'm being honest. It's so hard to beat with the hour drive.
Yeah.
When do you think you'll ever get bored of AOP? Do it all.
Probably. Eventually, but like my rig doesn't stay together enough for me to wheel long enough to have to worry about that.
At least you admit it.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm not gonna deny it. At this point, denying that's like denying water makes things wet. My rig holds up
does?
for 2 to 3
is
trips.
water wet?
No.
Water is whatever water is. It makes things wet though.
But
I'm
isn't
not
there more
even gonna-
doors than wheels? That's the big question.
I have no clue, and I don't care. No,
There's
like
probably more doors than wheels. Yes.
I think there's more wheels than doors.
No,
But
think about it.
anyways.
Most cars are 4 doors and they have 4 wheels, plus all the doors in houses and buildings.
hold on.
Okay, but
hold
then
on.
think of every single conveyor belt ever. There's a bunch of wheels on those.
Those aren't
Just
wheels.
saying. Yes, they are. They
What-
count as
well,
wheels.
Those are wheels.
Those are wheels.
They are wheels.
Yeah, bitch.
And then there's all the like airport things where it's just a bunch of fucking wheels.
Yeah.
And a fucking belt.
Well,
Think
what
of every
about
mailroom.
schools with lockers? Those are doors.
That's a
There's
lot,
a
of,
lot of
doors. You're
doors.
right. Those are a lot of fucking doors.
There's a lot
Damn,
of
I don't know.
schools. A lot of other things that are hinged pieces of
You know what we're gonna?
material. They're doors.
Chad GPT is gonna tell me.
All right. Anyways, back to your question. Yeah, no, with the 2 to 3 trips, like I don't have enough time wheeling there to be bored of it yet. And when I get bored of it, I've got Harlan, GMP, Windrock, Stony Lonesome, all the Morris Mountain and everything out in Alabama. I've got a lot of terrain to chew through before I can like bitch that much.
Yeah, living in Tennessee, I mean, there's so much. I mean, it's
Lucky.
Harlan's awesome. Gold Mountain Park. Actually, V and I got engaged at Golden Mountain Park
Right.
before it closed down. We're going to where are we going this weekend?
Chocolate.
Chocolaco. That's in Alabama.
Oh hell yeah! Are you
There's a-
guys competing?
No, we're just gonna go trail ride. V, what you said you wanted to get some seat time in the car, and
Yeah, I've been in school full time and I'm finally done. So I'm ready to raise hell.
Props to that. Morgan just went back to school, like she's getting the finalized paperwork, and I'm like, God damn it, there goes my life for the next 2 to 3 years.
I feel you.
So, yeah, props on that. That's a major accomplishment.
Yeah, so she's got what you're gonna have like
Now I've
3 months off or 6 months off before you go back to nursing school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna do it big. So my plan going into this year was we were gonna compete all 4 events, because I know once she starts nursing school, it's gonna be hard to go wheeling as a family. So we're gonna go to nationals in September, and then we're gonna leave our rigs out there, fly home, and we'll fly back out for Trail Hero. Be at Trail Hero for the week, and then November we'll go to Texas for Top Gun Shootout, and then probably wheel somewhere local for Thanksgiving, and then New Year's, and we'll probably be done for.
Oh, repeat for New Year's. Let's do it.
We always have a good time up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I said if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big this year. So I've spent entirely too much money, but if I die today, I can't take it with me. So it's been a good journey so far.
I respect that. Yeah, I couldn't compete at this point with I work every other weekend, and I'm hoping that that's gonna come to a close soon. But yeah, that's just nuts to be able to go out there that far. What's your favorite place to wheel at this point?
Ooh, you go first.
Oh gosh.
I know mine.
Okay. Do you want the East or the West Coast?
Anywhere in this country.
Anywhere.
Yeah,
It could be
The
the
best
moon.
place, just anywhere in the country. Favorite spot.
So my first place would be Sand Hollow
Ooh,
in Utah, and then second is Rugged Mountain Ranch.
mine first is Rugged Mountain Ranch.
Yep.
In Oklahoma.
Really?
Oh my gosh. It's amazing.
Where is Rugged Mountain?
It's
Is that
in
Oklahoma? I think it's
yeah,
Oklahoma. Right?
what part of Oklahoma? Not
I
Disney.
don't
It's south of
remember.
Disney. It's
I can look it up.
It's so. I'll give you a quick fact on Rugged Mountain Ranch. The guy that built the place was a prepper. So, the house you can rent is a full-on bunker.
Like Doomsday.
Oh
bunker.
shit! Who?
Jason Grews.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing you'll ever see. Huge generators
The
and
walls,
the
Daisy,
window.
Oklahoma.
You
These
know
things-
what? Fuck it. I've got to go there. Not
It's
for
awesome.
the prepper side of things, but it's 12 hours away.
And if you go there, hit Green Acres, which is only
an app.
45
Yeah.
minutes away. That's freaking amazing too. I'm talking the Freak Runs Forever, Big Bowl. It's amazing. Both those places are top 2 in my.
The only downside to this is you're gonna drag me through Memphis, and I don't like going through Memphis.
Oh my god, shut up.
You'll survive.
If you go out that way though, you should hit up Caleb Good. I'm pretty sure he lives really close to there, and I'm sure he'd be willing to hang out with you, show you around. I think
they're
Green Acres.
You're talking about Caleb Good, Jake Good that does We Rock?
Yeah.
Yep.
Kansas City, yep.
We had
Yeah.
them on, and he was cool as hell.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
awesome. So when we went out there, we did Superlift, which is Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to Green Acres,
And then
we went to Rugged Mountain. We did it a week, 10-day trip, and it was awesome. Now, if you want the best traction that I've ever seen, if we change it to where you get the best traction in the country, by far, hands down, is K2 or Wolf's Caves in Texas. The traction is just
Mason, Texas.
absolutely ridiculous.
My problem with Texas is I have to stay away from Texas because
Nothing to
I
do with the
spent
wheeling,
all-
by the way.
Huh?
Nothing. Said nothing to do with the wheeling and why you won't go to these places.
oh no,
What's
it's
wrong with Texas? Let's hear it.
I want to
wanna hear it.
live there. At this point, and Morgan doesn't want to move again. So I'm staying away from Texas because I want to go back to El Paso. That was the weirdest experience of my life, just being able to go. It's just open land. Have fun. This is BLM land. Enjoy yourself. And you can just go fucking bomb me across BLM land. It's fucking awesome out there. But I have to keep her happy, so we're staying in
Valid.
Tennessee.
That's valid.
That's
Happy wife life.
She is she's super chill too, so it's like really hard to argue with her about that.
That's why you gotta get
down.
a crazy one. They're really easy to argue with.
Yeah, well, I don't like arguing. She's like, yeah, you want to go do the wheeling thing, have fun. Oh, you're going to be gone for the weekend, whatever. Oh, I'll sign for that new gun that showed up. Don't worry about it. You know, whatever I want to do, she's down with, except for moving again.
Texas.
Yeah, she's not down with Texas. So we're stuck in Tennessee, and it's not terrible. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Tennessee's a great state. I mean, I tell V all the time, if we were to move, we would look into Tennessee.
I love Tennessee. The
What
land.
what part of South Carolina are you guys in?
We're actually in Georgia, so we're right beside Georgia.
So North Georgia mountains.
Cleveland, Georgia is where we are.
Yeah, so we're like an hour. We're an hour north of Atlanta. So basically, we can be to South Carolina in like 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes from the house.
Well, not to intrude too far, but if you guys want to grab a beer when I go up to Shop Kids to work on my rig, let me know.
Okay.
Who's Shop Kid?
Connor
Yeah.
Thomas.
Isn't that the wrong direction, Luke?
No, he's North
I
Carolina.
can make that work. It
I don't
adds
know.
an hour of drive. It's not that terrible. You can go through Atlanta.
I'm not a geography expert, but I'm pretty sure those are the opposite directions.
You make an L or you end up winding through the mountains. Pick your poison. So it just skirts the mountains. It's not too terrible to do. Yeah.
Okay. I'll whatever you say.
That was my thought too,
still,
Graham.
it's not computing, but you know.
All right. So it's due to the way the interstates are set up. If you go through the mountains, it ends up being a 4.5-hour trip. If you go through the top of Atlanta, it ends up being right at like 5.25.
Oh, North Carolina's parallel with Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. I thought it was above it for some reason.
No, it's like
This is
right
why
next door.
that big disclaimer. Not a geographist.
Yeah, I can be in North Carolina in 35, 45 minutes, depending on traffic. It's right there. I live in the corner of like North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you
That
really
is.
I was very confused. Yeah. So let's see. Let's see here.
I want to hear about the journey about how you got your kid into it. Like starting to compete at 5 years old. That sounds pretty hectic.
I think was he 4?
It was 5,
Oh.
yes.
Okay.
So I had a comp rig. It was a pro car that Justin Hall out of California built, and I saw this buggy pop up, which it's a mini twisted buggy that was built by a guy named Ryan Busey out of Texas. So I saw it pop up on like Pirate or something, and they were asking like, I don't know, like $35,000 for it. You know, I was just dreaming at that point. And I watched it drop and drop and drop, and ended up talking to the guy, and it's actually Cody Wagner. Laser Nut had the car built. Long story short, the guy made me a price. You know, he priced it to where I couldn't refuse. So I told V, I said, I'm selling my comp car. I'm getting him in a car. And she's like, he's 4. I was like, well, he'll be 5. So
He'll grow into it.
actually, he delivered it for his 5th birthday. The car was absolutely didn't have a scratch on it. Me and another dude got in it and drove it up 41 up to George Winters. We wheeled it for like 7 hours that night, like just 2 grown men in a kitty buggy. And
super unsafe it was.
Oh, super unsafe. And then we got Emmett in it, and we got a little local park by our house.
2M Rock Garden.
So we just got him in it, and he's fearless. Like the dude, he was what? I started him at 1.5 years on a little Strider bike. Then he got a 3-wheeler. Then he got his dirt bike,
a Razor.
Like he's just, if it has an engine, he loves it. So he started driving, and actually we went to Moab. I rode all of Moab in the passenger side seat of that buggy for a week. And let me just tell you, I don't know how I walked, but he did Hell's Revenge. He did everything out there in it. I had like 5, like, but before he turned 6, I wanted him to do so many trails. So like, he did Rattle Rock at Windrock. He did Mason Jar and Lions Den at Harlan. We went to Moab. Like, he did the V Notch at Morris Mountain. I had a bunch of trails I wanted to do before he turned 6, and we did all of them. And he loves it. Like, he gets so mad if we don't take him when we go riding. He just loses his mind. So now it's like, hey, bud, you want to go ride? So it gives me a good reason to be able to go wheel. And our daughter actually built her a buggy when she was 8, and she wheeled it for about 3 years. Competed in it a couple times. She outgrew it. We sold it. Bought her a couple rigs in between, and then I had just got her a 2-door Cherokee that somebody rolled over.
Look, Eric bought her the most nicest Cherokee at 12. She was 12.
2-door Cherokee too, like
And
cream puff.
Let me take it out, and I totaled it.
Totaled it on the lid.
Oh,
On the lid. Okay, so she's actually borrowing a buggy this year from our buddy Steve. So she's been competing in a single seater for the season. So, well, you know, it's just she's, you know, teenager now. You know, she doesn't really enjoy it as much as she used to. But Emmett, dude, I could be like, hey, buddy, you want to drive to Pennsylvania right now and go wheel? And he'd be like, let's go. So he loves it. He's fearless. Like, he'll listen to me. I can roll him over, and he will listen to me till he's upside down. Like, and that's what's cool about it is he trusts me. And I always tell him I'm not going to put him in a situation where he's going to get hurt. But I mean, the dude will do anything I ask him to do. And he's fun. I mean, he's fun to watch. He puts on a show. The things he says is just crazy. Like, when we're on course and we're talking to each other in the headsets, I should record it, because some of the stuff we talk about, it'll just make you laugh for days. He's hilarious. But he does really well. We just put rear steer on the car, so he's got rear steer. It'll front dig. You know, it's a badass little car.
That's sick. That it's funny, the dynamic that you're talking about with your son felt kind of hit close to home when back in the day when me and my dad used to go snowmobiling. It'd be kind of the same idea where he'd be like, he'll just wake me up 5 a.m. He's like, hey, we're going up to New Hampshire. I'm like, okay, and I would just get in the truck and we would just fucking go and have a ball for the weekend. So that's it's pretty fun to hear something similar like that, but in wheeling standard. That's sick.
Yeah, it's awesome. When we went to Windrock it was New Year's Day, would have been 2 years ago. He was 5, but we show up and I go to the pay station. You know, go in. I pay for me, and I pay for Emmett as a driver. And the girl behind the counter says, well, what's he driving? You paid for a driver. I said, oh, he's got his rock crawler. She just looked at me with this like blank stare. And I'm like, she's like, him? And I was like, yeah. She said, how old is he? I said, he's 5. She's like, what? And she looked out and she saw his rig and she said, where are you guys headed? I said, well, we're going to run 15 to Rattle Rock. We're going to go up Rattle Rock and then we're coming back down. So we left the house at like 5 a.m, drove 3.5 hours. She said, okay, well, when you come back down, let me know that you guys are alive. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. So we go run all that. We come back down like 6 hours later, and she's like, I can't believe you guys did this. And I had videos and everything. She gave him like a shirt and stickers and a hat, all kinds of stuff. So
that's awesome.
We leave. I get him to load his buggy on the trailer first. I put him in the truck. By the time I load my buggy and strap it down, the dude is out cold. He slept for 5 hours. Like, from the time we left Rock Park till we got home, he was cashed out in the back seat. So, but he's a little trooper, man. You put some Skittles in his pocket and give him a couple Mountain Dews, that dude's ready to party.
It sounds like Richie.
Fuck off.
So as he's getting older and kind of like competing and doing all this, are you recognizing that he's going to want to stay in the realm of like We Rock and X Rocks, or do you think he might transition over into something like Ultra 4, you know, where like, because at this point, at his age, he may outgrow We Rock for what it is, right? Like he's probably gonna have the most amount of like just seat time in that kind of sport, if you will, that I wonder if he'll ever get bored of it.
That's a good question. B and I talk about that a lot because his buggy is very diverse on how he can fit because the pedals will move forward, the seat will go down. It's got a lot of room to grow, but we have a good friend that he's into. His daughter is like 12 and she's into razor. Like he does razors. So whatever that. Yeah.
And I think
he does that for like King of the Hammers and stuff. He's trying to get us into that.
Emmett likes to go fast, which is kind of scary.
But the thing is, I think he would do anything that I would offer for him to do. It's just I can't afford to get him in anything any faster. So I'm hoping he hangs in there with crawling. I mean, he really seems to like it. But you put him in he's got a little Razor 170 that he raised his hell in. So I feel like if I got him in some sort of go-kart racing or something like that, he would take to it full force, and then he wouldn't want to rock crawl. So trying to keep him on one task because V's always we should get him into motocross, but I think he would want to go one way or the other. So as long as he's happy doing this, I'm good with it. But I'm sure one day we're gonna have to do something different because he's already driving the car harder than the car should be driven, and I think eventually he may get bored because he's and I think we might have screwed up by giving him such a capable buggy so quick in life.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things. It was, again, go ahead and buy something that I know is good to go and will last for, a long time. And it just so happened it was this buggy and it does stupid things that it shouldn't do. But it's four-wheeler powered. So it's a Honda TRX 420 four-wheeler engine with a drive shaft to a Samurai transfer case to Samurai axles, and it's actually got 2 buttons on the steering wheel, and that's how he shifts it. So he has to actually manually shift it. So if I tell him to bump it, I'll be put it in second or third. If it doesn't have enough go, he'll reach down, put it in high range, and put it back in first, and let it eat. So there's a lot to that car, which is cool to watch him work it because it's got rear steer, front dig, transfer case, shifters, cut and brake. He's got all kinds of stuff going on in the cab, and he knows exactly what everything does and how to work it. So it's pretty impressive to watch the little dude do what he does.
That's pretty cool, and I wouldn't say that he'll ever switch out of it, right? Because you got to take into consideration how if you get him into motocross or get him into go-karting, that's a one person thing, where I feel like four-wheeling has such a community aspect to it, really, by having a passenger, you get to experience the same exact thing at the same time, and just something that might keep him into it is once he starts getting more and more friends who also like it, it might kind of drag him right back into it.
Yeah, and he's like his mama. He's not afraid to make friends. So, we get out on the trail and we're around a big group of people. Once he sees what's going on and he livens up, he's the center of attention, kind of like his mother.
We don't meet strangers.
But I don't know if you guys know the Benners, but Danny Benners, he competes in pro. He's 17, I think. It's his hero. Emmett loves the dude. And then his new buddy,
Colton Brassanini.
Colton Brassanini. That's one of his good buddies now. So he enjoys when he hears we're going to compete. He's always are my buddies going to be there? And so he gets really excited when he hears we're going to compete because he's made friends and he has people that he looks up to. So that's a pretty cool aspect too.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, just as far in just having people that you appreciate and want to go and
I feel
compete against or with, or and people to look up to. I mean, as a kid, that's always huge.
Yeah, he actually had his first big rollover this last event, and it was a hard hit. Dropped off this ledge, left the driver's side tire, dropped down the back, unloaded. And it came over pretty hard, and it pounded him into the driver's side. And when I got to him, I said, "Buddy, you all right?" And he said, "I'm good, Dad. I'm good." I said, "Okay." I said, "Just stay put. We'll push you back over." He'd already turned the rig off. And then I look behind me, and my wife is running. I didn't know she could run.
Hey.
And crying. I'm like, "Don't even talk to him. Go away. He's fine." She was ready to rip him out of that car, and I was like, "You better get away! Like, don't even talk."
Little kids bounce. It's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Mama here was an absolute mess.
Meanwhile, the kid's probably just fucking happy as a pig and shit.
No, I know that.
So with Richie, I all the time he'll like run into something and just bounce his fucking dome piece off the wall. And he'll walk away fine, and then Jess goes running over to him to make sure he's okay, and then he starts fucking crying.
Oh yeah, that's what they do.
I'm like, "Oh, you're fine. Just walk it off." And he just, "Okay, Daddy," and just walks away.
Poor thing seeing stars, and you're like, "Yeah, you're fine." Rub it off. You're like, "Okay." Oh,
Runs
shit.
into Jess, and Jess tells him that it's the worst thing that he's ever done. Oh,
Well,
God.
they just feed off whatever energy you give them, right? If you're
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's
if you're
and that's
concerned, they're gonna be upset, and vice versa. If you're like, oh, that's no
Yeah.
big deal, then they'll be like, oh, no big deal.
that's it. Because like when I'm spotting Emmett, like I'm talking to him like he's a grown man. Like sometimes I may say that F-bombs and this and that, but I talk to him. I don't baby him. Like I tell him. I said, and this is what I always tell him. We go. I'll ask him, what do we go to do? He says, we go to have fun. I said, absolutely. And then, but once we get on course, it's like he's like he's a 40-year-old man, and I'm talking to him, and I'm telling him to do stuff, and and he listens. Like if I talk to my wife like I talk to him, she breaks down and starts crying.
No, you're lucky I've been giving it back to you there.
You've been doing good. Been doing good.
That reminds me of me, Luke, and the ex when I couldn't spot my ex through things, but then Luke would hop in, say the exact same fucking thing, and everything was fine.
Much
and I'm like,
louder and
what
much
was I
more
doing?
aggressive.
I'm telling you, it's a husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend thing. You can't.
Yeah.
So, my thing at this point is, I just shout at whoever I'm spotting, like at the top of my lungs, so that way there is no hope of them not hearing me. Because I have had to deal with too many people where they're like, "What did you say? I can't hear you in this thing." No, motherfucker, I'm gonna shout at the top of my lungs, so that's not a goddamn excuse, and it's just your shitty driving.
Yep. My wife's like, "Why are you yelling at me?" I'm like, "So you can hear me." Yeah. My speech, whenever we podium, my speech is always, "Well, we're still married." That's all I ever say. I say.
That's amazing. I remember we were at AOP for the meet and beat, and Jake Warner and his group were coming up the trail, and he gets out and he's just giggling his head off because he's like, "I heard on the podcast that you shout at people, but no, you fucking shout at people." And you have to shout the insults too, because you can't just like backhand the insults lightly. They have to hear them too.
So when I'm competing and I've got my hands on the steering wheel, if I barely move my hand or the wheel, he's like, "What did I tell you? Put your hand back on. Don't move." I'm trying so hard not to break down.
But you barely let off, and that tire moves, we can hit a cone, -10. And then you yell at me. I get a little competitive sometimes out on course.
A little. Just a smidge.
Just a smidge. But B and I do have a great demographic when we're on course, because we'll get mad at each other, but usually like,
No, you show me your nipples.
I'll talk trash to her. Yeah, I'll talk trash. I'll be like,
Wait,
what are we doing later on tonight? And then we'll be on course, and she'll be like, "Show me a nipple." And I always wear, like, when I spot, I wear majestic button-up shirts, like the
yeah,
shirts.
hell yeah.
So like I'm on course, like 3 buttoned, and she's talking to me. So that's how we have figured out to do things to keep it to where we're not killing each other. I guess it's the easiest way to put it.
Love that. And I love to hear that other people are taking up the random like button up shirt trend. That was a thing that somehow started happening with our friend group too. And now we just call them our party shirts. So anytime we show up to an event together, we're just all dressed.
You guys need to get party shirts made with each other's faces on it. I think that'd be cute.
That would be fantastic. I mean, I'd love that. We should definitely consider something like that. But yeah, I don't know how it happened. And then now we every once in a while we'll do a theme like for the GER web wheelers. We all did mustaches, and it's funny how we never went back to that. Almost like we all fucking hated ourselves with our beards gone and just a mustache, except for Graham. He's the only one that still has the mustache and no beard, and it's crazy.
The beard's grown out at this point, but. The mustache hasn't been shaved. It's been trimmed when it gets a little unruly, but it hasn't been shaved since that weekend.
My beard is getting down to my nipples at this point.
What?
A Fu Manchu? How do you say that? Fu Manchu? Oh gosh, I hate it.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm debating doing the square cut goatee for Roush.
Square cut goatee?
Well, like, you know, where it's just the edge of the mustache down and then the long beard.
Yeah, so what you have to do is you have to pre-plan this. If you're going on like a 3-day trip, you've got to plan so you can cut your facial hair each day to make it more great, if that's even a real word. So like whatever. Yeah. So like each day you come out and your facial hair is different, because then people just stare at you and they don't want to say anything to you, but you know they're thinking it. It's great. So that's you.
That sounds like way too much work, considering I'm lucky to go to the barber to get my beard trimmed up once every 6 months. So
you don't do it yourself?
No.
Oh, I forget too that yours is longer. I forget that you actually like, you know, shape it. I just rip mine down and call it a day and keep it going till the next time.
I just eyeball it with the clippers and
yeah, like I said, mine's like almost down to the center of my chest if I'm sitting down and like mildly looking down at this point. It's
what the fuck? That's a long ass beard.
Yeah, dude, there's a couple of like good 5-inch long hairs in there at this point, the old growth stuff. So Morgan has started throwing beard balm at me. I'm taking that as a sign.
Itchy. It's probably itchy.
I'm not itchy.
Not for you, for her.
That sounds like a her problem.
Well, tell us
why she's giving you beard balm.
Beard.
You gotta soften that puppy up.
So back to wheeling here. Any particularly you know what? I gotta talk about this. What's up with the triple bypass air shock and how the fuck does that work? Because that just piqued my autism.
It's unicorn powered. I have no idea. So so the car originally had a set of Foxes on it that were custom made. So these are Profenders, and so it's got 2 compressioning settings and 1 rebound setting on it. So it's basically a conventional air shock, and then it's got the bypass valves in it so it'll bypass when it goes up. It'll bypass the shim packs to make it dampen harder or rebound harder. So a buddy of ours had them made, and he ran them for a little bit.
Was it Cam Beasley with Crazy Cruiser?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cam with Crazy Cruisers.
Oh, Cam's a cool dude. We had him on 2 weeks ago.
Cam's a great dude. So he had them, and they were too big for his car, and then somehow I ended up with them. But with my car being able to travel at 33 miles an hour wide open, the bypasses are nice. So I just got them on the car. But it's pretty crazy how you can just by rotating the clickers, you can make the car to where it's like a slinky when you push on the cage, or it's so stiff you can't hardly move the car. So the tuning is like infinite now on it, which the way my brain works is awesome, because I'll just be playing with it the whole time I'm out there.
Have you hit the point of having Sharpie marks for where you want them to be, or paint pen marks more realistically for where you want them for each course?
No, I just remember clicks. So what I'll do is I'll run them all the way down to to as light as they'll go, and then I'll count clicks up, and that's how I remember where I won. So they work good. I'm pretty impressed with it. It's just a lot of shock to package. So that's
like
kind
an
of
alien, like a UFO.
yeah. They're look. So the buggy's already weird looking, and now with the bypasses, it's over the top.
It looks
awkward.
like a robot.
It does, but I can bomb Trail 1 at AOP at flat footed and never lift. It's awesome. So the car ride's amazing.
I'm excited to get back up there myself. I just put in a set of 2.5x12 big shocks with what are they? Flutter stack valving and ported pistons or some weird piston in there. So we're gonna fucking party on with that, and I'm hoping that the car rides better.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm getting up there in age, so I like a comfy car.
I'm gonna trade you in, babe.
I'm gonna trade you in. You're getting old. Nobody's gonna put up with your shit or provide with cool shit like I do. I mean, I'm pretty kind.
I think you guys are past the warranty, though. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't tell him that shit.
But back to Cam. Like, if you guys ever need anything, Cam knows everybody, and he is a great dude. Like, he got us the sticky Mickeys. He talked us into them, and I was cussing him at first, and then after we podiumed first, I went and gave him a gigantic hug, and I was like, dude, these tires are awesome. He's like, I told you. So Cam's good as gold. He really is a good dude, and he's always willing to help out with whatever, and he's got a lot of sponsors. So if you guys ever need anything, don't be afraid to reach out to him and see if he can help you guys out with whatever.
He is incredibly nice, and he is very, very smart. We're planning on having him back on probably after the Web Wheelers Ball. I don't think he's going to the Web Wheelers Ball, but when we run out of discussion from that, we're definitely planning on bringing him back, because we talked with him for like 2.5 hours, and we scratched maybe 25% of the shit we wanted to talk about.
You know what?
Thompson guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Guys, ask him about Texas Top Gun Shootout when I entered the drag axle class, and he kicked my ass in his portals.
No, he didn't have portals. He had the 46-inch.
Yeah.
Mickey. So Cam beat me at Top Gun Shootout by like 3 seconds, and that my car. I had one of the pods that controls my car, and it kept grounding out. So when Cam came out of the finish line at Texas Top Gun, he gave himself whiplash. He hit so hard. Like, he's one of those guys that he's going to give it. He doesn't care if he's first or last, like some Talladega Nights shit. Like, he's going to win it, or he's going to put on a show and destroy his shit. And that's what he does. And he's a great dude.
I can respect the fuck out of that, though. Like, if you're there, fucking party on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. The other thing that was just super cool is it's, like you said, he's got a ton of connections. So we were talking about Behemoth, we were talking about Mickey Thompson, and there's just, like, apparently, like, he just materializes weird pro fenders, which I don't have anything negative to say about my pro fenders. They've been in the back of my rig for what? I put them in 2021, 2020, somewhere in there. And they're just kind of trucking along, unloved, unnoticed. It's great. I think I filled them with... No, I didn't fill them with nitrogen. They came filled with nitrogen because they were a motherfucker to compress. I put springs on them and, like, tuned them with the preload and forgot about them.
Yeah. Yeah, for bang for the buck, they're not a bad shock, and like the ones I've got, these triple bypasses, they're extremely nice. Like, you can look at the fit and finish and machine work on them, and they are a nice set of air shocks. And I'm old school. Like, we've had your TJ had pullovers on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only rig we've ever run with pullovers. Everything we've had's had air shocks or springs.
All right, so that's interesting. Why are you guys in Team Airshock? Just the simplicity?
Simplicity, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, packaging is a big thing. Simplicity, easily tunable. We can pull an air shock apart. Come off course. I can get an air shock off in 3 or 4 minutes. Have it torn apart in less than 10 minutes. Change the shims out, put it back together, air it up, and we're good to go. So they're just super easy to tune. And like I said, packaging is the biggest thing because these comp cars are so tight. Like her new car is a 48-inch chassis, and the seats touch each other. It's so tight.
Fuck.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, catch me outside with that bullshit. No offense to you guys, but like, I like, at this point in my life, I like the big, comfy,
He wants a couch. He'd fit.
Yeah,
a
I
whole
want a
sofa
couch.
in there.
A couch in the tube cube, and I'll be happy. Like, my rig, it's got what, 8 inches or 9 inches between the seats, and my door bars are a good like 6 to 8 inches away from the edge of the seat. So like I'm just kind of plopped in there, and I'm nice and cozy, and there's room for everything, and it's great. I love that. I've got to give you guys credit for making the small car work. I could not do that.
Oh, I fit in it pretty good though.
Yeah, but your car's teeny.
Oh gosh, I love it though.
Yeah. And I've always liked small cars. Like, I mean, I've got the shitty Yoda in the back that's on tons, and it's just a typical, and it's fun to drive. But
the visibility
I
is
like to be, we like to see everything. Like if you sit in V's car, you can see every tire. You can just see everything. The visibility is key, especially when you're coming. So that's just kind of the habit we've got. And you put me in a full body. Oh God, you put you in a full body rig. You would dent it getting it off the trailer.
Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you could drive a full body rig anymore.
Mm-mm.
So you just get used to driving, little stuff, and you just learn that it's not a trail car, but we're gonna make it a trail car. I feel like anything that can hold a cooler is a trail car.
I agree.
I can hold like 2 or 3. So
yeah, you've got 2 cooler mounts. Yeah. So yours is like a double trail car then. So.
But like
that
I
is
just
totally how you figure out if a vehicle is a trail car.
I've got my cooler mounted behind the fuel cell. I've got room for a couple of axle shafts. If I want to throw a drive shaft in there, I can.
hey, in my old buggy, I ran Rugged Mountain Ranch, one of the hardest trails there, with a welder in the back and a generator.
No, I had the Jenny. You had the welder.
Oh, I had a welder. Yeah.
Our buddy
That's fucking nuts.
In a creek, in the creek, Cripple Creek,
Mm-hmm.
and we welded it up while laying in the water. And then we were like, well, we're already halfway there. We're going to the top.
Yep.
But she also doesn't run a passenger seat that has a cooler mount next to her. So, like, you have a whole section designated to coolers.
So now, like 4.
Yeah.
So, for the quality of life upgrades that we're doing on my rig, I haven't had a working center console for like the last, I don't know, whenever I put the manual in, so when I lost my center console. So we've got a 50 cal ammo can mounted between my seats now, so I can store a phone, a wallet, and my electronics. It's great.
There you go. You're almost a trail car.
Yeah.
Almost a trail car. No, it's definitely a trail car because it's got room for multiple coolers. I'm gonna bring the big Stewart EFI roll-on coolers with me next time that we go to Roush, so that way we can just set up and have lunch on trail.
There you go.
I beat all of you for the amount of coolers I can hold.
Touche. He's got a Comanche, so.
Oh, yes.
I can hold all the fucking coolers.
All of them. Yeah, so
Hey.
usually when we trail ride, I bring my JetBull with me, and then I have like meals. So I'll be making like biscuit and gravy and chocolate milk and all kinds of stuff when we're out.
I remember that. We were following you, not directly following you guys, but we ended up coming up on you guys setting up for lunch. I forget what fucking trail it was, but it was on the backside of AOP.
Yeah.
We had chicken and rice and teriyaki and
But you have to have water for that. So luckily we have Steve because I never pack any water. So, but yeah, the Jet Bull is the ticket for when you're trail riding, especially when you get to like Harlan and stuff. Like when you're out for 10 or 12 hours at a time, that's our biggest thing. Like Emmett will live off Uncrustables. Like that's all he'll eat. So it's like pack 10 Uncrustables, some Mountain Dews, some Skittles, and some chips. That dude's good to go. So there's a little bit of thought that goes into it when you got kids now. Me, I'm terrible about drinking water. I'll just drink beer all day or vodka.
Why you have me?
Or
Save your life every time.
save my life, every once in a while.
I'll be here all night.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Well, it kind of seems like we're slowing down here. Let's kind of get into like the final little bits and bobs towards the end of it. I'm gonna ask my typical tire question. Kind of doesn't apply since you guys are buggy people, but if you had a normal trail rig and it was on DOT tires and you were using it for off-roading, what would be the best DOT tire and what would be the worst?
Oh, go. You don't even know, do you?
I'm thinking, babe. I'm not like oh.
Cooper STT Pro.
For best or worst?
Best.
Okay, so that's why I love doing
People
this.
either love him or hate him.
Yeah, people there was, I forget who it was, but literally like 3 or 4 episodes ago, somebody said that the STT Pros were the worst. So this is kind of cool.
I've loved them. Worst, Thornburg.
Yes, agree.
Worse than a Patagonia?
Yeah, they're terrible. They don't do shit.
Terrible. Like they are the worst tire. So I like an STT Pro. I had a 4Runner, like 85 4Runner, kind of, mediocre wheeler. Took it to AOP and stuff, had a good time. But I love those tires. They drive good on the street. They're very pressure sensitive. So I think that's why a lot of people don't like them. Like 2 pounds of air will make them either great or terrible. But I think that's a great tire for an all around, daily driver / weekend warrior car.
Perfect. I like that answer. Veronica, were you able to come up with something, or are we dropping that question?
BFGs?
BFGs, where they are?
KR2s?
KR2s.
Okay. As best or worst, just to clarify.
Best.
Nice. All right.
That's an OG classic of a tire. I'm kind of sad they went to the, what are they, the KM3s now?
KM3s, yeah.
The KM3s are just fucking soulless. It's like a general grabber that kind of like had some incest with an STT, and now we've got this soulless like carcass that just kind of rolls around and sucks.
I don't think the KM.
That's my opinion.
KR3s are.
I agree.
I don't know
Look,
what
I love an OG BFG mud terrain. Like they were awesome. All right, worst tire, babe.
Oh, boggers.
Yeah. Another
Fuck you,
stamp of
Frankie.
approval. Yeah.
Everyone either loves or hates the boggers, and we've got a buddy who's got, what are they, 44 bog dogs on that thing?
I think he does it for just the meme at this point. I don't think he actually likes them.
I mean, we're going to hear about it either way.
A storm at AOP about them.
Yeah, I think
they have a very specific use case, and if you're not doing that, then they're not good tires.
They dig big holes, and that's about it.
I think a bogger's like, a a first gen Toyota pickup with 13-inch leaf springs, with boggers. That's what I think of.
Yeah.
Molten eagle in the background. They're pretty sweet, but our buddy runs 54-inch boggers on his buggy. They're gigantic.
Oh, God.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about diffing out.
No, he does not.
That's the one positive I have there. What are they? They came out with the 45 LTB stickies, and those are kind of intriguing.
If I can put another worst tire, it would be a SX2. That would be my number 2 worst tire. I'm gonna throw that out there.
I respect that.
Are those the China-made ones?
Yeah, they're made in like Taiwan, if I remember right.
They're good for nothing.
They look cool.
They do look cool, but they're terrible.
Yeah, they're
know
very
that one.
expensive rig supporters, if you will. That's about all they're good for. Let's see.
Oh, you should have
So-
bought a set of those, Luke.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Luke, go
fuck off. You know, at this point, I'm a little insulted at, like, I slammed through a fucking dove nose in 2 weekends, and they just
2
support my
weekends?
rig. Yeah, 2 weekends.
2 weekends of working? Okay, yes. I agree with that then. Okay. I was going to say, I think we've been hearing about this dove nose for a little bit longer, but
A month.
I have no legs to stand on in this discussion, so I'm going to shut up.
Yeah,
I had
you
2
do.
weekends of working on it.
2 years
So-
of not touching mine, so I'm a piece of shit. I'm going to stop talking.
I mean, you can throw shade at me, but if I'm working a 12-hour shift, it's really hard to be like, yeah, I'm coming over. Oh, the kids are in bed already? Fuck. Well,
Yeah.
I guess I'm not waking your kids up to work on my shit box for 2 hours before I have to go to bed. Fuck
It's a good
that.
point. It's a good point.
So did you guys bring a small animal fact?
Oh, I have one.
Yes!
I have
Yes.
a great small animal fact. Are you
You're
guys
always
ready
down.
for this?
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
hit us with it.
Okay, so a raccoon is the only animal in existence to have a permanent hard-on all the time.
You
I
know what?
fucking
That is
knew
one
that
of the best
already.
small animal facts that we've gotten on here.
Yeah, yeah, because its wiener is a bone, so it's hard all the time. And so,
What?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. They always look. Next time you see a dead raccoon on the side of the road, just pull over, feel it up. It's going to be hard as a rock.
Yeah.
I'll
think we're
take your
taking-
word for it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So look, old timers like I grew up North Carolina moonshine. So they would use a raccoon's dick and they put it in the very end of the still. So when the moonshine would come out, it trickles off of it. So they'd like have them in their hats. But yeah, you can research it. Only animal to have a permanent hard on all the time.
Oh.
That's my small animal fact. And it's
We were going to talk about the dog with one eye.
no, you needed a fact about an animal. That's what I'm giving.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
Is there a
great.
fun? Yeah,
I did
that
not
was
know
that was
that.
fantastic.
I'm just saying.
I didn't know you were going to go.
I don't do shit half-ass. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's the most whole ass animal fact that we've gotten.
In
Hands
quite a
down.
while.
Yeah.
180 episodes, best one. That's what I was going.
It gets better.
Why is that?
They sell raccoon bone boners.
you just
Why did you Google search raccoon dick, dude?
Hey, I have. It actually
had
ties
to.
in with this. In certain Asian countries, they view jellyfish as an aphrodisiac.
No kidding.
Yep. So if I'm gonna show up with another random animal fact, I thought that one was pretty good.
What
Let's
kind of
see.
jellyfish?
Well, that is very true. I actually knew that, though.
Well, give them a fact.
I'm sure they've already heard that.
They may not have. They didn't hear
Let's
about
hear it. Let's hear it.
So possums are the only ones that can't get rabies. I'm sure you guys have heard that, though.
Yeah.
We've heard that,
Heck
but
yeah.
that's a banger.
That's
I
a good
love
one.
possums.
The only marsupial that can't get rabies.
Raccoon penis is much better. Definitely.
I'm glad you Googled it to find that you can buy raccoon dicks. I mean,
On Amazon too.
It's sold as a fucking toothpick.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
What did you type in? Raccoon dick?
Raccoon boner.
maybe
Raccoon penis.
you,
Okay.
raccoon has 2 C's, honey. 2 C's.
You know who's gonna love this right now is RJ's mom. RJ's mom is going to absolutely love this portion of this podcast because she's
Oh
a
my God.
wildlife rehabilitator.
Fine.
I'm glad I could bring all this wealth of knowledge that I have.
That's amazing. Fuck. So
I'm telling my wife about this as soon as I'm off the podcast.
Oh
I
my
know
God.
that-
They have raccoon penis earrings.
Get a little out there, but I'm just,
I'm sorry. I'm
glad
going to get off
everybody
Amazon.
know.
How big
So-
is
Okay.
Can we reel this back in? I do want to just talk about some of the shit I had going on real quick and throw a quick shout out for Shop Kid. So we ended up finishing up the Dove Nose, and in total there are 30 feet of tubes in the front end of my XJ now.
There you go.
Crap.
So we ended up just throwing tube at the problem. It's just, it's there. We gusseted, well, I shouldn't say we. I gusseted with the Barnes 90-degree gussets off of the A-pillar. So all of that shit is now fully tied in. We're putting a couple of tie-in plates in there as well. At the actual joint where the bottom of the A-pillar support ties in with the front fender tube. I think I've gotten the rough idea as to what I want to do for skinning it. I'm just going to cut the fender, place that into the actual triangle that I formed in there, and we're just going to weld that in for a skin, and then I'm going to cut the Pikachu face and the other side of the fender off and put that in the front triangle. And we're leaving the engine bay just exposed because at this point I don't see the rig having a 4-liter for long, and I don't want to build fenders or inner fenders around a 4-liter.
Yeah, no, that makes sense actually. That'll be sweet.
Yeah, it's so narrow now that a Cherokee grill won't fit. I have to cut one end, or one of the sections of the Cherokee grill out, and that will just, basically it's as wide as the radiator. Measuring off of Logan's rig, I took 18.5 inches out of the nose.
Wow.
So she's narrow. I should have bought 14s. I bought them to go on trailing arms or leading arms, and I think at this point I'm going to throw the leading arms idea out the window because with the amount of steering I have, it's just not really worth it to push the front axle forward 8 inches. What do you mean?
What did you go with, 12s?
Yeah, I went with 12s.
You'll be fine. What's an extra 2 inches, really?
I pulled 3 more inches of up travel out and lost 1 inch of down. So the rig's sitting at 5.5 or 5 inches of up and 7 down.
Yeah, it's plenty. You'll be chilling.
So if you ever go narrow, if you want to narrow the grill anymore, Muffy had a aluminum radiator it would fit a 1967 Ford Falcon is what the radiator was for. Obviously it was aftermarket, but it fit great, and it 4.0 never got hot. Like, you beat the shit out of that thing.
I did.
So if you ever need to go narrower or you dub it more, look up one of those radiators because they fit really good. They're short and not as long, and they work really good.
Sweet.
Good to know.
I wouldn't have thought that.
It's super weird.
All one.
So if
right
you
now,
you were saying,
sorry, go ahead.
You were saying the 4-liter may not stay long. What's your plan?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have one. So I'm in a really weird spot with it. Right now, the rig is all dove nosed. Everything that was done on the dove nose ties into my front bumper. I know Graham hates my front bumper, but whatever. And we're going to, this winter, chop the frame rails completely off of the nose. That was the precursor to the dove nose. And from there, I've got 2x3 188 wall that we're throwing in there, and it's going to run up to the front bumper, tie into the front bumper, and I'm going to chop the front bumper down probably 4 or 5 inches aside to just give it a very narrow wedge. And we're going to get all of that shit tied in and double triangulate the front this winter. And then, depending on how crazy we want to get, we're going to chop 20 inches out of the ass of the rig.
Nice.
So, it's rapidly becoming a buggy, and just
Good.
shop kid. Sorry, go ahead.
I said that's usually what happens. You just start cutting.
They need a sugar daddy to do stuff for them.
No,
You damn right.
I do it on my own.
Find me one.
He's his own sugar daddy.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Listen, if I gotta send pictures of my feet to people, I will do that as long as they fund my stuff.
What? We get so much scam on our Barefoot Motorsports page, and people are like, "Hello, beautiful," and the first thing I say is, "Do you like feet?"
That's amazing.
Now, what is your response when you get a yes? I love them.
Oh, have you got one of
No,
those yet?
yes, that's the thing. I think it's all like, I don't.
You should send them pictures of your bunions.
I have before I showed
Oh
you.
no, people are probably into that. No, don't do it. Don't. Oh, no.
But it's funny, like you were just talking about. It's crazy how when you get into off roading, you have like this set plan. This is how I'm going to build something, and then it's like you're talking about. It just evolves. Like you're like, I'm going to dove it, and I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to do this, and then before you know it, you're like, holy shit!
None of this matters.
Yeah, it's like don't make a plan. It's like you're just when it's all said and done, you're like, holy shit, this was a functionable street-driven car, and now
it still is. Even when I buggy it, it's staying on the road.
and that's
Tennessee's great.
That's awesome because these TJ, we drove on the street a little bit, but it had full hydro and it drove well. But the new car, it's not that. We haven't driven on the street. I don't know what it would do.
I think she'll be fine.
So mine only does like 36 miles an hour wide open. So I'm gonna get passed by scooters and stuff. So
ultimately, the biggest problem I've ran into is the LS is the cheapest option. But with where we want to put my control arms to keep the triangulation where I want it to be, I may end up getting locked into a straight 6. And then it's like, well, there's one obvious answer for a straight 6, and that's, what is it, the LX 350 2J?
Yeah, 2J or 1J.
Yeah, because it bolts up to the, what is it? You have to put a R151 bell housing with a crank spacer on the flywheel, and it all just kind of like mates up to the AX15. And I don't know. I don't have any reason to be like, yeah, fuck this AX15, fuck this 4-to-1 box. For a while I was pissed off about it, but now we're putting a skid plate on there that's 3/8. That's all tied into my Cherokee basically has a subframe under it at this point. It's got the rear cross members and the front cross member with 1 inch or 1.5 250 wall connectors running between them. And those are now tied into the unibody rails. And it's like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to leave all that shit. And it all now finally fucking fits together. So I'll just build a new upper control arm mount for the triangulation because the lowers are kicked in at 12 degrees, so I can cheat the uppers in quite a bit. And
yeah,
I don't have a plan anymore, but I gotta give Connor a massive shout out because the dude's just 120% about off-roading and making it happen, and like his attitude towards everything has been nothing but awesome.
That's awesome. So Muffy had a AR plate for the skid, and that stuff was awesome. Like that skid plate was on that buggy for 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't have a dent in it. And it's AR plate, so it doesn't really gouge, and it just slides. So like we run, UHMRW on the skids usually to make them slide, and that AR plate, it doesn't, it's bulletproof basically. So it just slides over everything. So if you're going to build a skid, you may want to look into trying to get some of that stuff because it's awesome. It works really well.
So the issue I'm up against is I'm rapidly running out of money.
Welcome to off-road.
Yeah, the 3/8 plate option, and Connor's got access to a press brake, so he's talking about just bending it to the point where it will hook up with the subframe, and that's gonna be probably $250 worth of material for the size of it that I gotta put on there. And I'm not trying to bitch or moan, but I'm at like $3,000 into this fucking dove nose between paying him because like he's doing a massive amount of rewiring for me because I suck at wiring. So I bought him a winch, a drive shaft, and then my shocks were not cheap. The big shocks are really nice, but I opted to get a bunch of premium shit thrown in there, and that ended up costing me. So whatever, the 4-liter staying, I've got another 4-liter on its way. It's probably just going to stay like that for at least another season until I can figure out the repower options and where everything's got to sit, because right now it's got way more up travel than it's ever had before, and it's actually causing problems. I had to buy longer shock tabs for the bottom because I ended up putting my link into my starter.
Oh yeah.
So I put 2-inch longer shock tabs on the bottom just to fucking try and give me some type of hope of keeping it where it's not gonna annihilate the starter at full bump.
Yeah, you're used to touch the starter.
Mhm.
I had the 4-link set up,
Crazy
or I had a
noises,
3-link. Yeah, yeah. I have definitely fought links and starter motors for many years.
And like, not to talk shit about myself, but at this point I'm fucking lazy. So it was easier to spend the $40, chop down a set of the rough stuff, extended link tabs to the point where like they fit, and I probably could have slammed a 14 in there. So now that I have a set of 12s that I'm questioning what I should do with, I also realized that if I chop my lower links off in the rear and weld on a new plate to the front of the lower link mount, I can package 36-inch long trailing arms, so that seems like a perfect spot to throw a 12-inch coil over and throw some 14s up front.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
another thing I'm super excited about is, I know you guys probably don't remember the rig that much from AOP, but it was monster trucking a little bit. I managed to drop it another inch up front and an inch out back, so it's now sitting kind of low compared to how it was, and like, yeah, I've got enough room that I can clear the 42 sticky Mickeys and life will be good then. That poor front axle is fucking gonna hate life.
So didn't somebody have like, weren't one of you in a Dodge that had issues? Didn't somebody have to like move trucks or trailers or something on that trip at AOP when we met you guys?
Yep.
I thought. Okay.
Graham had the Dodge with trouble.
Okay.
What was wrong with it that time?
Your front drive shaft was zip tied to the fucking
Was it
control arm.
stuck?
Yes.
Where?
I'm pretty sure you got it stuck in the parking lot.
Yeah, I think it was. Like I remember when you guys left, you guys were doing, or when you rolled in. I remember there was an issue
Maybe
with
it was
a Dodge.
Huh.
It's all
Black
right.
Dodge.
I'm not judging you because you own a Dodge.
Oh, I know. I'm totally fine being judged too. I don't care. But I just don't remember that. I know recently when
Finish
we were
your
there,
food,
I drove it
please.
through a mud pit because the place was a swamp when
Oh,
we
dude.
left, and I had to like kind of give it a good run at it. I didn't have the Jeep on it because I was not taking that chance. But it's not zip tied anymore. It's bolted
it's just
together, but the vacuum actuator and the central CAD disconnect thing is
now broken.
not working. Well, it's
Yeah.
electric. It vacuum works, but electrically it doesn't know it's working, so it doesn't
very
do
nice.
the thing.
The last time we went to West Virginia. We were going through Asheville pulling this big pool. So I have a 40-foot gooseneck with 3 rigs behind me. Get up over the pool. We're coming back down the backside. My Duramax decides to shove the fan through the radiator as we're coming on a descent, and I lose all brakes. So it's Veronica, me, and Emmett. So we get to a parking lot, luckily, right off the exit. We sleep in the truck that night. Go the next day. My buddy stayed with us. Fix the truck in the parking lot, and we go on to West Virginia to wheel. So I was talking to Emmett the other day about going to Trail Hero, and he's like, "Dad, are we going to sleep in a parking lot of a gas station?" I'm like, "I'm hoping not." He's like, "Well, we're really good at that because we've done that a couple times this year." And I was like, "Well, only one time, not willing, son."
Is that when you use a paper towel as a pillow?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So look, they're in the back of my truck sleeping with blankets and pillows. I'm in the front seat freezing my ass off. I used my son's like hoodie that he's 6, so it's not very big, as a blanket. So like 2 weeks later, I'm cleaning my truck out, open the center console. There's like 7 beanies in there. I froze my ass that night.
I didn't even give you a pillow.
You didn't give me shit.
No.
On Duramax.
I'm gonna make it worse. I bought a 2-wheel drive 2nd gen Dodge. Just to
you don't even have an
insult to
option.
injury.
You can't even put a front drive shaft in one of those.
No, I can't. I'd have to
No,
05 plus swap it.
Bonus is you don't have to zip tie it to the control arm. So
True.
Dude, I fucking love that truck though. Going out to Shop Kids, it got 20 fucking miles to the gallon with 7K behind it.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And like, I found out that I have a boost leak, so I, had to go and like tighten up a couple of banjo bolts on the turbo side. After I did that, I was cruising 75 like it was no big deal through the mountains of Tennessee. It was phenomenal. And then on the way back, it got 25 miles to the gallon, just like chooching along.
Yeah, my transmission's blown up. I can go 45 miles up a hill, and my fuel pump's broken in the tank, so I have 17 gallons before it runs out of fuel. It's cool.
I always tell people, like, this hobby we do, I've met the best people ever in this hobby, and then I've met the worst people ever. But I love it, but it's like, we're idiots. Like, we have to have a truck, a trailer, a rig, all this stuff. It costs so much money to go for the week. It's so dumb. And I tell myself that all the time. But as like I'm driving home after a trip and I'm just smiling, I'm like, this is the best waste of money ever. It's a crazy hobby. And it's, like I said, I've met my best friends. I mean, hell, my wife's, when we got married, you had 2 bridesmaids. I had multiple groomsmen. We met wheeling. My best friend that I bought the buggy from, I was in his wedding. It's like, I've met the best people ever. And I tell my parents always freak out when we're traveling because they're like, what's going to happen if you break down in like Kansas? I'm like, I'm going to call somebody I know because I know people all over the country from this stupid hobby that I do. And my mom's like, oh, okay. So,
yeah, I mean,
it's
funny as fuck because like we met you guys at AOP. We didn't realize it was you guys. I was talking with Tony, and like I'm the guy that normally gets the people that come on the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, you should have Barefoot Motorsports on." I'm like, Barefoot Motorsports. That rings a bell. All right, cool. I'll go check. Oh fuck, we wheeled with these guys at AOP. And it's just a weird fucking circle there because you're talking Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, all meeting up at one point randomly, not knowing each other at AOP.
Yep.
And then we also had one dude from Michigan there.
Yeah, fuck that
guy. Bro, I had to talk to Jason Ramsey about if he was going to the Web Wheelers Ball just to get Curtis to shut up about it. I still haven't answered Curtis back, but yes, Jason's apparently going to the Web Wheelers Ball.
What is Curtis? Web Wheelers Ball?
That's what they were saying. Where's it? Street. When we're going to be.
That's right.
When we're
yeah, we got to be in Texas or New Mexico, one of the two.
New Mexico.
That's Nationals. That's our last event
Yeah.
of the year.
So you guys may or may not be interested, but we may or may not, nothing is confirmed, be doing some stuff with F&F at some point in the future, and we will shoot you guys a message.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
Not going to go too far into that because it was just in the talked about phases, but yeah. Also, at some point in time, I will have to wheel with you guys now that I found out you guys are local.
Yeah. Not too far.
I mean, you're like an hour and a half from us because we go through Cleveland when we went to Dayton.
Yep.
He's right
We're
up
just there.
I was just down in Dalton today.
You said Dayton.
I know he said Dayton, but
Okay.
Dalton's like
Sorry.
Just 2 different
35,
places.
45 minutes away from Dayton. So it's same network, or not network, but area basically. It's like comparing where Richie lives to Springfield.
Gotcha. Two totally different things. All right.
Well, on that note, hit up Crawler Off-Road. Code BCOP gets you 10% off of your recovery gear. And make sure to, take a little time and enjoy the small things in life. They end up making the larger stuff seem more worth it.
To clarify, it's BCOP 10 at checkout to get 10% off. Just to.
All right, I'm sorry, I missed a week and I'm all discombobulated. It's my bad. Shoot me. Just take me up back like I'm old Greg and, put one in my head.
I don't think that's what they